Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I hope you're all doing well today. I have a message for someone who is unlocking their latent abilities and expanding their potential right now. So I feel like maybe you're going through a really rapid period of growth in your life where you're discovering that you're able to do a lot more things than you previously thought. Or maybe you had kind of thought of a certain career pathway for yourself that you had imagined, and you're starting to realize that you could actually go in a lot more different directions than you thought. All right, so we have here, we have the Nine of Swords, we have the Ten of Swords coming out, and then we have the Hanged Man. So I feel like this is telling a little bit of story about something that you went through right before this potential was unlocked in you. Like, I feel like there was something that happened to you that was just, like, pretty bad. It was something that really shook you, shocked you, and, like, maybe had you up with sleepless nights, like having nightmares type of thing. Like, you were really stressed out about the situation. And the outcome of the situation was genuinely, like, dead. Like, I feel like there was this moment where you gave up entirely. Like, you literally died. Like, there was a part of your spirit that said, like, I'm done. And then I think that resulted in this feeling of the Hanged Man, where it was almost like you felt suspended. Like, you had given up on life so entirely that it was like, what am I even supposed to do now? Like, I might as well just die. And there was almost this feeling of suspense of, like, what is going to happen next now that I have just given up entirely? But I feel like this actually unlocked this new potential in you, where because of the fact that you had let your ego die because of this experience that you went through, it actually unlocked, like, infinite new possibilities within you. And it made you realize that you have so much more potential than just the things that you had imagined in your ego reality before. And so I get the sense you are kind of in this Hanged Man position right now, where you've just gone through this kind of, like, ego death experience after a really difficult trial. And this has resulted in you kind of feeling like you could do so much with your life right now, but you don't know what. It's like this really strong feeling of suspense. And I feel like this is where these hidden powers are starting to emerge, where I think you're realizing you're either a lot better at some abilities that you previously had been cultivating than you thought, or you're unlocking entirely new abilities that you didn't realize you had the potential to grow within you, but you're now able to embody now that you've kind of allowed this ego to fall away. These stories you were told about what you could do in the world and who you could be are now vanishing from your reality, and you're realizing you do have this infinite potential. And it's almost like this kind of feeling of being, like, frozen in time, or it's like, yeah, like I'm seeing, like, a pause button and you're just about to press play, and it's like the ball is really going to start rolling on your new life that is going to be utilizing these newfound talents and abilities that were latent within you but are only coming to the surface now. And I feel like this is very exciting. So if my tone seems a little bit excited today, that's because this energy is just this really vivacious, like, really excited kind of hyper energy, because, like I mentioned, there was this feeling of a pause and then it's like play, but it's almost like more than just play. It's like fast forward, where these abilities that you're acquiring or uncovering are enhancing so rapidly that is almost unbelievable. And it might actually shock you, because some of these powers were things you just didn't think you would do, or it was something you imagined would take like 10 years of really hard work and study, or maybe you had thought, like, I don't have a natural talent for this, therefore I'll never be good at it. But I think you're understanding that you have some sort of intuitive skill that almost helps you learn these abilities, or it's this sense of almost like you had this ability in a past lifetime and it's like your soul is remembering it, but your 3D form is just catching up, if that makes sense. All right, so we have the Nine of Pentacles here. So I feel like there's almost this kind of idyllic period of rest right now also, where it's almost like you're just in this sense of, like, peace, and then this bird is coming in, right, and it's delivering a message. And so I feel like it was almost like you were kind of in this, yeah, like, peaceful garden state, like I mentioned, of being frozen. And, like, I think you did go through this kind of trial, but I think that previous to going through this trial, it was almost like you were at, like, almost a bit of a standstill, or you kind of settled into a routine, or you were feeling good about the way things were going. And then it was like this bird flew in and delivered a message to you about what your soul's purpose was. And so this is something very exciting to you. But if you also look at this card, there's a teensy tiny little snail in the corner there. So the sense I'm getting is, like, it's like you were moving really slowly, or you were building some of your skills really slowly. And I feel like I'm really getting the sense of daily practice was really important. And it was almost as if it was not necessarily the thing that you were practicing every day, but it was your ability to build a daily practice has really allowed you to utilize the construct of time effectively. Where it's true that some skills would take some people 10 years to learn, but that's because they don't really have an effective use of their time. And because you're someone who really seizes the moment and makes every moment count, it's almost like you have more time in the day than the average person. Like, take for example, someone who spends like 4 hours a day just scrolling on social media, and you're the type of person who doesn't do that whatsoever. It's like you have just 4 more hours in every day, and that just adds up exponentially over the years. And so that in itself is this ability to almost like control time, where it's like, yes, it's like a skill on the surface level of just like, okay, you have good time management, but it's almost like this different way of being when you're actually able to be present in the moment and figure out what you should be doing in every moment in this really intuitive sense, where it's like the right thing that you should be doing to enhance your abilities just comes to you. It's not like you need to think, okay, I need to actively be practicing something. It's almost like you're guided to be doing a certain thing at a certain time. And I think this is where your abilities will start to emerge, when you have these really strong urges to do a certain thing and you go with that urge, and it just is like, it's like your soul is in alignment with your purpose. I know it sounds super woo-woo and new agey, but this is just the best way to describe it, honestly. Okay, we have the Ace of Swords. So I feel like there's something new, like being at the beginning of something, and I think this relates to almost integrating a certain different quality within you. And if you're familiar with the Jungian term of the animus, which in women is the male aspect inside of you, or like the soul guide, the male aspect of the collective unconscious that is present within you. And it acts as your soul guide through this underworld, which is this journey that is resulting in the Hanged Man, is like, or beginning with the Hanged Man almost, is like this descent into the underworld. And it's like you need this masculine aspect inside of yourself to guide you through it. Or if you're a man, then it's the female aspect. But it was revealed to me in a dream, or perhaps a vision, that the animus corresponds to the Ace of Swords here. So I feel like there was this newfound acquiring of this soul guide within you, or like understanding of it. And like, as you can see on this the Ace of Swords here, there is a crown, and it's almost like this crowning of an inner king within you, where maybe you had almost idolized or put on a pedestal certain men in your life, but I feel like this has been dethroned, and it's like you're understanding that you have an inner guide within you that holds more wisdom than any person that you could encounter in real life. And it's almost like this person, or like this aspect of yourself, has the wisdom of like all of the collective unconscious together, like generations worth of wisdom, where it's like if you went to consult someone in the world, it would just be like their limited consciousness of just their however many years they've spent, like 50 years even, of like, sure, that's wisdom, but this inner masculine energy is something you can consult with that has been present for thousands of years. So it's just more wise than any conscious mind could ever be. And I feel like it's something that's guiding you just so much further on your life's purpose and on your journey. Where like, if you went to consult someone in the real life, they would give you these suggestions based on their conscious observations of like, okay, your skills in this are pretty good, so maybe you should follow this career pathway. And maybe you even took some of that advice, or it was sort of like this cumulative advice of like, okay, all these people around me are telling me that I'm really good at this one thing, therefore that's the thing that I must be doing with my life because it's a standout skill. But I feel like this inner guide has pointed you towards something that wasn't something that was encouraged in your conscious reality previously, but it was something you had a really strong connection to within yourself. And it could have even been something that was discouraged by the people around you. So maybe there was one skill that you maybe started acquiring in childhood that was really encouraged by your caregivers, parents, teachers, etc. And so that was kind of the thing that you assumed would be your life's purpose. But maybe there was something else within you that was really begging to come out, but the people around you maybe discouraged it, said you weren't that good, or like made fun of you when you expressed the desire to practice this, and you really repressed it deep inside yourself. And it was almost as if this was like a dream you had given up on, something you'd put on the shelf, or something you thought you would never be good at. But I think it's coming to light now through this guidance that you've been receiving that this is actually your soul calling in some way. Yeah, this is just a really exciting and hyperactive energy, and it's just a sense of like go 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 of like what's coming next, this really strong excitement. Okay, we're getting the Page of Swords, and this is again like this feeling of freshness, relating to this sort of inner masculine energy that's like driving you forward in a way. And it's almost as if, like, maybe new thoughts are starting to emerge in you as well, where you hadn't thought of yourself in this way, but it's almost like there was something that was delivered to you, some sort of message, and it could have been in a dream, it could have been in a vision, or it could have just been a really strong intuitive feeling that you had that then guided you to start thinking about the certain skill a little bit more. And it's almost like this feeling of things adding up, where you're like, there was almost a sense of like drudgery or reluctance towards this thing that you had previously thought was your purpose. And it was like, well, I like it, but it doesn't bring me joy in the same way. Like, it was almost this feeling of like, you could do it, but it's just whatever. You could do anything and it would kind of feel the same, but because you have this talent, you might as well practice it. Whereas I feel like the thoughts that you're having about this new purpose that you've discovered in your life is something that is just so much more exciting and fulfilling. And it's like fulfilling all of these dreams that you previously had. And it's like bringing together so many thoughts that you've had in the past, or like maybe fantasies you've had of like how you saw yourself, or like certain celebrities you related to, or just like this vision you had for your life that was on a much less conscious level, but it had guided you to take certain actions throughout your life where you hadn't understood exactly why you were taking those actions or why you felt guided to do these things. But I think it's like it's adding up now, is the sense that I'm getting, is like, oh, it makes sense why you were so interested in these things, or why these things came onto your path. And it was because on an unconscious level you were still walking towards your life's purpose. Right, we have the Fool. So there's a sense of this freshness and of taking a leap of faith into this new sense of purpose that you found in your life, or these newfound abilities where, like I mentioned, it was almost like these things could have been repressed in you because they were discouraged by the people around you, of like, oh, you're not that good, you won't be that good, or it's like you're kind of silly, or you're a bit of a fool for thinking you could do this. And it almost made you like really hesitant of like, okay, I'll never be good enough. I'll never have the skills that I need to succeed in this. I'm just not cut out for it, is kind of the sense that I was getting. And that would have held you back from taking a leap of faith so much, where it would have been like you were hiding yourself, or if you had taken a step in this direction, it would have been like this tiny baby step, or like a mouse step. But the sense I'm getting is with the Fool is like, in this new way of being and feeling really guided to follow your life's purpose, it's like you were ready to jump off the cliff in a sense, or just like take that leap of like trying this new thing that you thought you would never be good at, that you thought you'd always be laughed at for doing, that just wasn't quite for you. And I think now you're starting to sense that this was actually on some level like where your journey has been leading you. Right, the King of Swords. Okay, another sword card coming out. So we have a lot of swords coming out in the spread. And this is the sense of really making a decision in some ways, and like this feeling of like being empowered to make a decision, of like the sense that I'm getting is you are releasing all of these opinions that other people have given you about what you should be doing with your life, and really deciding for yourself what you want your life to look like, or what you want to do on a day-to-day basis, or who you are as a person. Instead of being told these stories about who you are and what you could be in the world, it's a sense of like you are the creator of your own reality, and you get to decide that you shouldn't be thinking, oh, I shouldn't do this because of this, or because this person said this, or because the people will think of me this way. It's really this absolute decision of just, I want to do this because I want to, and so I will. And that's really the sense that I'm getting in this new phase of your life. And okay, with the Lovers card coming out here, this is like this vision of a Garden of Eden, and then the fall relating to eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge. And like I mentioned, there's a sense of this inner soul guide that could represent your inner masculine or inner feminine quality. So it's like this coming together of your higher self and your inner soul guide that is then bringing you to the Garden of Eden. Or rather, everything began in this Garden of Eden, and then you fell as you acquired more knowledge in the world. So like I mentioned, these things that society has told you about yourself, or your parents or teachers told you about yourself, was essentially the fruit of the tree of knowledge, which, as you recall in the story of the Bible, is that Adam and Eve ate this fruit. And then this caused them to fall to earth and be in this like reality of not being able to access the Garden of Eden, but all the things that come with earthly existence and ego, essentially. And like this knowledge that builds up, that blocks us from our soul's purpose or connecting to this higher self. And like I mentioned, all these considerations about, will I be good at this? Will I be making money? Is this really what's right for me? When you're too caught up in your head about that, that's essentially the snake is encouraging you to eat this fruit. But in this vision of heaven where Adam and Eve hadn't eaten the fruit, they're still blessed by this sort of holy light and this eminence from the heavens. And it's almost as if you're starting to understand that this is not necessarily a linear story about like Adam and Eve fell to earth and then they could never get back. And it was like, yeah, like time is not linear when you are in this space. It's as if you can return back to the state, like I mentioned, by connecting with this inner soul guide. And it's almost like, it's not like you've uneaten the fruit, but it's like you're going back to a state before you had eaten this fruit without necessarily having to travel back in your lifetime. It's not like you need to go back to like age 10 or 15 when these things were told to you, but it's like you're returning to that state that was like this innocence from the moment of your conception, of just like the beginning of when consciousness was born, this really fresh consciousness. And like I mentioned with the Fool card here, it's like this sense of freshness and just complete of blank slate is what I'm getting, where it's almost like if you had been completely reborn, or if like you were an alien coming down to Earth possessing your body. Sorry, this is kind of a weird analogy. Maybe a better one is like you're playing a role-playing video game and you are playing this game for the first time and you're just interacting with this world through the eyes of this character. It's almost as if your higher self has come down and inhabited your body, which was previously on autopilot, running on ego. It's sort of like when you're playing The Sims and it can go around and do its own things in the world just to satisfy its needs of like, okay, it'll eat food, it'll sleep at this time. But then when you step in and turn autonomy off, and you are then acting as God, you instruct it on what to do. And I think this is like the state that you've been tapped into recently that is really helping you discover your potential and new abilities. All right, the Knight of Wands. So there is this sense of almost being held up in some ways where, like I mentioned, I feel like you were kind of on this path previously about doing what you were told to, doing what you think you should do. And then I think that this like really difficult experience that led to this suspense of being in the Hanged Man energy has now like really held you up. And it's this feeling of like, wait a second, time to pivot. It's almost as if like you're understanding that if you had kept going down that path, which maybe in some ways could have granted you some level of monetary success or general fulfillment, it's almost as if you could see that that was still a dead end in some ways of just not reaching your highest potential, of this much higher level of fulfillment that goes beyond just the realm of the ego, of like, if you had succeeded in a specific vocation, you would have gotten accolades, you would have done quite well, and it would have been this ego level gratification of, you know, maybe being at the top of your field even and just doing quite well. But this higher purpose is connecting you to the reason that your soul was put on this earth, of like the things you're meant to create in order to affect change in the world. And it's like this butterfly effect is what I'm getting, where it's like if you had not created the things that your soul was meant to do, it's like it would have changed, it wouldn't have had the ability to change so many people's lives. Like the world would have been worse off if you were not connected to your soul's purpose. And when it comes to this general connected sense of consciousness evolution, it is essential that you connect to your soul's purpose in order to help other people's consciousness evolve, or help the general consciousness evolve. So you can think about how there are books that have changed your life. But this book has not just changed your life, it's changed hundreds of other people's lives too. So similarly, something that you create will change hundreds of people's lives, connecting them to their soul purpose. It's like this domino effect of just affecting so much change in the world. And it's like I mentioned, just like, you know, if you had been in this more like ego level of pursuing your life goals, that would have been good and people would have liked your work, but it wouldn't have had this incredible ripple effect that just changes people's lives in the same way. Okay, and the Three of Cups. So here there's this union of three female figures who are dancing, and it's like this trinity. And it's almost as if their bodies are intertwined, like their arms are kind of crossed over each other. And it's elevating these cups to a higher level, almost reaching up to the heavens. And there's also this scene of it being like an autumnal harvest. So the sense I'm getting is that by uniting your like higher self with your inner feminine or masculine soul guide, and then your ego being, it's created this essentially fourth version of self, which is like all of them combined, that is on this higher level. So it's like this uniting of the trinity was this process that took place. And like you can kind of see it also in this Lovers card, where you could see it as like you are either the or like your ego is either the male or the female figure, whichever one you relate to, and your soul guide is the counterpart. And then your like higher self is essentially this other figure, and it's like it's raising you up basically. So there is this sense of just like having a greater sense of purpose, or this coming together of aspects of yourself that are causing some sort of evolution or transformation in yourself. All right, let's slow it down a little and get a little bit more into how you can cultivate some of these new abilities that you're finding within yourself. Okay, Temperance. Okay, so there is this feeling of being between two worlds, and very similar to the Hanged Man card as well. It's like being tapped into the material world, but also being tapped into the unconscious. So you're able to receive messages from this soul guide or higher self as well. But at the same time, you are still enacting change in the material world. And it's this balancing of the two that is helping you evolve these skills. So it's not like you're just sitting there like channeling information, staring at the wall, because that kind of leads to this, what one might call like a schizophrenic state. And this is not meant to be a diagnostic like mental health diagnosis. I'm not a professional, but it's like what you would call that is like just kind of free associating and just receiving these messages endlessly, but without actually affecting this message into any sort of real change. So then it would be like this balancing of like, it's not like you're just sitting there receiving messages, but it's not like you're just how you were previously, just working at your desk or doing whatever you thought you were supposed to do. It was like being able to receive a message in any moment and then immediately act on it in any moment as well. So it's this balancing of action and reception, like the balancing of the masculine and feminine qualities of, taking action, creating things, as well as receiving these messages through your intuition on what you should be creating. And then also on the Temperance card, as you can see in the on the figures, the angel's shirt here, there is the triangle surrounded by a square, and this is exactly what I was talking about, is like this trinity enclosed by the quaternity that is then like the whole that is the higher self, this fourth secret thing. So there is this sense of just balancing or being between two worlds, of walking a middle path. And this also relates to like walking a middle path between hedonism and asceticism, of like you're not slacking off so much and just enjoying all the visceral sensual delights of the world, yet you're still enjoying them in moderation. Similarly, you're not withholding yourself from these feelings of fulfillment or desire or delight. You are still taking part in these worldly pleasures, but not to the degree that it shifts you into hedonism. And similarly, you're not withholding yourself from the world so much that you are wholly disconnected from it and unable to affect change in the world. All right, and we have the Knight of Pentacles coming out. And so this is a very still card. It's a sense of, it's like you have been presented this new self, and it's almost like that will be stable in a way. Like it's almost like you are undergoing evolutions in many ways that will be ongoing. But at the same time, I feel like it's almost like once you've reached the state, there's kind of no going back, is the sense that I'm getting. It's like I mentioned, this kind of ego death experience that led you into this Hanged Man energy. It's like you can't undo that. And it's like, it's almost like you might have received some sort of vision or new feeling that is just, it won't go away, is what I'm getting. And this is not a bad thing, even though it could be difficult working with this energy at the beginning. And like I mentioned, it's kind of like this feeling of acceleration and maybe exhilaration as well. But the sense I'm getting is that this is like really good for you. Like I feel like you're loving it. Okay, then we have the World coming out. So there's this feeling of, there's like complete mastery, of this feeling of being one with everything, or having received messages from this higher level of wisdom than you had previously ever been able to tap into. And if you look at the Hanged Man in the world and the postures on these two figures, it's almost like they're counterparts in a way. Like you can see their legs are in the same position. So it's almost like in this Hanged Man energy, that was like while you were just letting go of ego and still kind of stuck in that feeling of suspense of like what comes next. Whereas the world is like you freed yourself from the ties that bind you and freed yourself from ego identification, and now you're able to dance through life. And similarly, the Fool as well is like this feeling of dancing through life with arms wide open. Alright, let's draw a few more cards on just like how you can really connect into this energy and like not feel overwhelmed by it, I guess. Okay, the Five of Swords. So this is warning you about falling back into these feelings of ego identification. And again, like a lot of swords coming out in the spread, where it's not the sense of battling, where this could almost be the difficult part of going through this rapid ascension, what one might call. It's like it almost feels as if you are apart from these people that you've been interacting with who were previously identified with their egos. But by setting that apartness, it's almost as if now you are re-identifying with ego because you are causing this separation between yourself and others. So it's like this feeling of like, oh, I'm so special, I'm so different. That is what causes you to slip back into it and makes you lose your connection with your soul's purpose. But when you see it as everyone has a soul's purpose and it's everyone's mission to connect to it and help others connect to it, then that's when you're able to really embody this energy fully and honestly. And it is a lie to identify with ego and say that you are different from others, that there's something special or unique about you. Certainly there are some aspects about yourself that, you know, are special and unique, but there's nothing about you as a person that makes it so that you're the only person who can undergo this type of transformation. It's this understanding that everyone could go through it because we are all of the same essential self. All right. And we have the Six of Pentacles. I feel like this is a very similar message, which is the sense of being generous to others. It's like, it's not gatekeeping the way that you got to this state. It's this openness and sharing it with other people and encouraging them. And that this is part of your soul's mission, is to help other people get to this point of ascension for the purpose of consciousness evolution. Oh my God, it sounds so New World ordery, but this is the New World. Welcome to the New World. Okay, and then we have the Emperor. So there is this really strong feeling of like, you're the boss and you want to show other people that they can be their own boss. It's not like there needs to be a hierarchy between people of like, these are the only types of people who are qualified to be leaders. These are the only types of people who are qualified to run their own business, to get to choose to make their own decisions in the world, to live the way that they want to. It's this generous feeling of like helping other people rise up to the state where they can advocate for themselves, where they can choose what they want to do with their life. And just a sense of like returning to the state where there isn't so much division between people or hierarchy between different ways of thinking or ways of being. It's like this honoring of every aspect of consciousness, of every single perspective, and elevating it to the point where it can be allowed to speak in the world. Especially, you know, when there is the sense of just like different approaches, but working towards the same mission, so that anything that is working towards the mission of consciousness evolution and the good of other people, of being generous to the needy, like helping the needy, like the sense I'm getting is like the Marxist sense of like from each according to their ability and to each according to their need. That operating by this principle is what helps you grow in your connection to the world and to your higher self. And so it's through this principle that you're constantly acting of lifting up others and giving what you can. And just this real sense of generosity, compassion, and cooperation rather than adversity, of pitting people against each other based on ego qualities, about the sense of this race is better than another, this gender is better than another, this culture, this, you know, some sort of bohemian culture of being in the city is better than the rural culture of being connected to agriculture. It's like none of those divisions exist. It's like this sense of unity between all human beings, that we're all playing our roles and that we all have some part to play in this ascension. All right, in the Chariot. So there is this sense of moving forward, of this like light and dark aspect, and I feel like this is really maybe what started you on the journey. This was like the beginning of your journey, was integrating your shadow, of understanding these aspects of yourself that are expressed through your conscious mind, and these aspects of yourself that were repressed or unexpressed but still lurked within you. And it's like balancing and integrating these energies into yourself then help to lead to this development of this new version of you. And again, we see on the chest of this figure on the chariot is the square on his chest, which is the symbol of this higher self in a way that is then moving forward, and it's being pulled forward by this black and white sphinx. So there is a sense of, like I mentioned, this duality, these poles that you've integrated into yourself of this becoming one. But then there's also a bit of a riddle to it. Of this is like a very confusing process and one that cannot be comprehended by the conscious mind. It's something that you just couldn't write it out per se. But this is like part of your soul's purpose is to elaborate on it in a way that can connect to people on a deeper level and will help them understand how they can get to this point as well. All right, let's draw one more card to close out this reading of this very exciting and vivacious energy. Okay, so we have the Four of Wands, and this is a sense of celebration of a marriage. So this is like this kind of feeling of like a sacred union, but leading towards some sort of material gain in the world as well. And the sense of just stability and like building a really strong foundation. So that's the sense I'm getting right now, is that in your life, you're at the state of building a really strong foundation when it comes to connecting to your soul's purpose. And there's like this celebration. And then also you can see that in this card is almost reflecting kind of like the Tower card, where the tower is fallen, but then this one is the tower has been rebuilt, or it's just standing within the city. So there is a sense of like building a new foundation from scratch on this new version of self, and doing it in a very healthy and tempered manner. Like I mentioned, is like not going too crazy with anything, not making any grand declarations or trying to jump too far ahead on your path. Understanding that, like we pulled here with the Nine of Pentacles, is like the snail's pace is quite essential in this process. It's like you're you are going through something rapid that is very different than anything that you've practiced before, but it is also something that takes time to grow. And like I mentioned, is like using the construct of time effectively in order to build these really strong foundations. So what this looks like is continuing to act generously, not going back to that place of ego, and bit by bit building up this new version of yourself so that it can be strong enough to face the challenges that it will face on this perilous path ahead, filled with many opportunities and obstacles. All right, so I feel like this was a very optimistic reading, and I feel like you are really unlocking your potential right now and some really exciting new abilities. So if you've unlocked any new abilities, please leave a comment below. I'm kind of curious to see what you guys are going through right now. And I'm running a special promotion until the end of February, where I will be offering $25 Canadian 20-minute personalized readings pre-recorded on YouTube. So shoot me an email. It's in my bio or in the video description if you're interested in booking one of these readings. Only until the end of February. After that, prices will be going up. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.